lives, that will change history, 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 that will change history. That will be the most beautiful day.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Oops, I don't think our AR avatar is functioning as it should. Give me 1 second here, and I'll see if we can get that working here. With that, again, we're going to start tonight's report for April the 26th of 2022 on the ongoing crisis in Ukraine. Give me 1 second here while I get everything figured out here. We might be down the virtual avatar this evening. I think that'll be okay, though. I think some people might welcome that change. Hello? Oh, nope. We're good to go. Awesome. All right, we got it working. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Again, I wish it could be under better circumstances, but I'm glad to see each and every one of you guys tuning in to the stream this evening. Thank you guys so much for taking a moment of your time to come and tune in here and get filled in on what's going on in this very tragic war, which is unfolding in Ukraine, and now in some parts of Russia as well, I would argue. So with that, guys, again, we're going to start tonight's report, again, April 26th of 2022. Again, we're going to start with the main headlines for this evening. I'll kind of go through all of those. Mimi, LD429, thank you guys for tuning in. Calgal, thank you for tuning in. Jillian, thank you so much for tuning in. Pat, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Amy, thank you so much for tuning in. For everybody that's tuning back in, Bernie, Pyrotech, thank you so much for tuning back in. Glad to see Pyrotech back here again. Glad to see you, Bernie. Jenny, glad to see you. Tiger Eye, glad to see you. Greg, glad to see you guys. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning back in this evening. We're going to get you guys all filled in here on what's been going on in Ukraine for about the past 12 to 24 hours here. There's been a lot of news, a lot of big headlines here. Let me make sure that our desktop audio is open, just so that if I play any videos here, you guys will be able to see those. All right. Cam955, thank you so much for tuning in. He says, I thought you said you were starting from early from now on. I haven't changed the schedule yet, but we are planning on shifting the reporting schedule up an hour, guys, from 9 p.m. Eastern Standard to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. So that will be from 4 a.m. Ukraine. We'll be moving it up to 3 a.m. Ukraine time. We'll be shifting it up an hour there. But again, I'll be making an announcement when I get around to that here soon. Again, thank you so much to everybody that's tuning in. With that, we're going to start getting you guys filled in here with the main headlines. If you haven't already, hit that like button. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It's the best way to get notifications when new videos and streams go live. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, for tonight's main headlines, again, the battle for the Donbass is continuing to heat up again in the east of the country there. So we're going to get you guys filled in on what's going on in that area. We're also going to get you guys filled in on what's going on in western Ukraine, as Russia has been striking targets in western Ukraine. We'll also get you guys filled in on what's going on in Mariupol. And then we'll also jump over and kind of look at the geopolitical situation here on a more broad level. So I think to start out, I think we'll just kind of go through some of the main bullet point headlines this evening. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres met in Moscow with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Again, according to a UN statement, Putin agreed in principle to UN and International Committee of the Red Cross involvement in evacuating civilians from the Avastal plant in Mariupol. Gutierrez urged Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov to call a ceasefire in Ukraine. Lavrov blamed Western arms shipments to Ukraine for undermining peace talks on Monday. Lavrov warned the West not to underestimate the elevated risks of nuclear conflict over Ukraine, and he viewed NATO as, in essence, being engaged in a proxy war with Russia by supplying Kiev with weaponry. Really quick, I'd like to thank our sponsor for tonight's stream, Peace and Memes. You can check them out in the description below the stream, below the live stream in the description there. We'll also talk a little bit about them towards the end of the show tonight. Moving on, in Germany, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin hosted military officials from over 40 countries for talks on how to help Ukraine win the war and strengthen the arsenal of Ukrainian democracy. Austin said Tuesday's consultative meetings will turn into a monthly contact group. So they're looking to have monthly trips back to Kiev, back to Ukraine to visit with Zelensky. So again, the U.S. is looking to have repeating monthly visits in Ukraine there, again, to ensure continued military support for Ukraine. Germany, which has been reluctant to provide heavy weapons, announced that it would approve the delivery of Jeopard anti-aircraft systems to Ukraine. This comes as a lot of other countries have been sending lethal aid, defensive aid, logistical aid, as well as humanitarian aid as well. There's been tanks going in. There's been aircraft parts going in. There's been reports of possibly aircraft being supplied to Ukraine as well. We have more lethal aid, things like small arms ammunition, artillery ammunition, the artillery units themselves. Things like those howitzer 155 millimeter artillery systems. Again, being supplied not only by the U.S., but other countries are supplying some of this lethal aid as well. A Russian-occupied area of Moldova blames Ukrainian militants for attacks. This comes as multiple areas in Russia, Crimea, and Moldova have come under what we have been referring to as increased terrorist threat level warnings, which they have issued over the past few weeks here, as they've kind of, I think, looked to build this narrative, at least from the Russian perspective. They're kind of looking to build this narrative of a pretext of Moldovan involvement here. Again, the president of Transnistria, an unrecognized self-proclaimed independent republic that shares a border with Ukraine, again along that right side. In fact, you can see it on our live UA map here, and I can show it to you guys. If we zoom in here, so this is Transnistria there. I'm not exactly sure the proper pronunciation on that. There's a few different ways people pronounce that breakaway region here, but you got Moldova here on the left. You have Transnistria here in the center in red. Why is it shaded in red on these maps? It's because there is a Russian element here. There's a reason it's shaded red. It's in the same classification as the DPR and LPR, the Luhansk People's Republic, and the Donetsk People's Republic. Same thing. That's the same reason why they were also shaded in red there on these maps, these open source maps that we've been looking at prior to the actual invasion. It's because they are breakaway regions from Ukraine and then also Moldova here. And so, again, possibility of involvement from this breakaway region here increasing in the past about 24 to 48 hours here. Emperor says it's Transnistria. Yeah, I've heard a few different pronunciations on that. In fact, in this report here, they actually had referred to it as Transdniester, which again, interesting pronunciation there. I'm pretty sure the official one there is, as Emperor says in the chat there, Transnista. Papu, thank you so much for tuning back in. Miss Fishy, thank you so much for tuning back in. Annette, nice to see you back. Thank you again to everybody that's tuning back in to the stream this evening. Glad to see you guys. Again, moving on here, the president of Transnistria, Transnista, as we're calling it here, and again, an unrecognized, self-proclaimed independent republic that shares a border with Ukraine, says his government has traced attacks this week to Ukraine, according to Russian state media. President Vadim Krasnolesky called on Kiev to investigate what he called infiltration of Ukrainian militant groups. Ukraine's Ministry of Defense described the attacks as, quote, Russian false flag operations to spark panic and provide a potential pretext for mobilizing Russian troops to attack Ukraine, again, possibly even from that breakaway region directly. The UN projects more than 8 million people will flee Ukraine. The UN Refugee Agency is calling for $1.85 billion in additional financial support for Ukrainians displaced by the war and for their host countries. The number of Ukrainians who've fled their country since February surpassed 5 million last week and is projected to reach 8.3 million. More than 7 million are displaced within Ukraine at this time. Zelensky, again, says Russia is trying to destabilize the region through occupation of that breakaway region in Moldova. Again, the president of Ukraine said Russia is trying to destabilize the region through military activity in Moldova's breakaway region of Transnistria. Again, there's a few different ways to pronounce that there. A quote from that report, he said, "This is just one of the steps of the Russian Federation. This is happening to destabilize the region and threaten Moldova," Zelensky said when asked by a journalist during a joint press conference in Kiev with the that's the International Atomic Energy Association, the IAEA Director General Rafael Mariano Grossi on Tuesday. Another quote from that. "This is showing what if Moldova supports Ukraine. This is what's going to happen," he said. Again, in recent days, Ukraine has accused Russian troops of firing missiles and conducting operations in Transnistria. Again, earlier in the war, there were strikes near, I believe it's pronounced Vinistia, if I'm not mistaken here. Yeah, Vinistia, which is north of Transnistria there. Okay, north of that breakaway region here is Vinistia, and there were some strikes on an air base there early in the war, and there was speculation that those missiles were actually fired from the breakaway region. Mother Saki says, and a very good point here, she says, "Ask anyone in Moldova how Transnistria is pronounced, and they'll tell you it's pronounced Moldova." Very good point there. Again, I'm not too briefed on really kind of what the people's view in Transnistria is there in that breakaway region. Again, it's a very complex. It's a very complex political situation that's going on in the DPR and LPR, and I've been pretty versed on that, but not so much what's going on in this breakaway region here near Moldova. That's something that I'm not very versed in. It's definitely kind of newer to this conflict. Again, it's always been there in the back of our minds that it was a possibility that they could get involved, that breakaway region could get involved. In fact, I remember talking about that back in February before the Russians actually even went over the border. However, now it's looking more and more likely at this time. Again, another few excerpts from that report. When asked about the number of Russian troops present in Transnistria, Zelensky said Ukrainian armed forces are, quote, prepared and not afraid to deal with a new front of the military invasion. Another quote from that, from Zelensky directly, he said, with regard to certain Russian troops that are constantly present in the temporarily occupied territory, this has been so for many, many years. We know they're on alert. They're just waiting for the order, again, from Putin to make the move there in that breakaway region. Again, expanding on that report from Germany earlier, Germany has agreed to send heavy weapons to Ukraine. Again, they've agreed to deliver anti-aircraft, tanks to Ukraine. The German Defense Ministry announced Tuesday a move that underscores a major shift in its approach to providing military help to Ukraine. Again, the commitment to deliver the Jeopard anti-aircraft systems was announced by the Defense Minister, Christine Lambrecht, during a meeting of international defense officials at the Ramstein U.S. Air Force Base in Germany on Tuesday. The quote from that report, again, we decided yesterday that we will support Ukraine with anti-aircraft systems, which is exactly what Ukraine needs now to secure the airspace from the ground. Again, she said during that meeting at the base. New drone video, again, shows the Russian military vehicles and forces on Bucha Street strewn with civilian bodies. That new drone footage that has come to light Tuesday, again, shows not only the carnage that was seen in Bucha, but those Russian vehicles that were there during during that genocide, during that atrocity that took place there that reportedly, again, took place in Bucha. Again, this footage has been geolocated and confirmed. It was taken by a drone on March 12th and 13th. Again, they haven't named the direct individual party that took the video. However, it's believed that it's most likely Ukrainian military that took the video at that time. Again, in the video, a Russian military vehicle is seen sitting at an intersection in the video. Again, that was on March 13th. That also correlates to the satellite imagery that came from Maxar as well, which correlates again from the drone footage to that satellite imagery. We're able to see again those bodies there, and those same Russian units were in that area. We know that they were in that area at the same time. Again, later this evening, I think we actually have some of that drone footage. Actually, if not, we have a image. Yeah, we have some stills from that drone footage that we can show you guys, and we'll do that later on tonight when we are going into our open source maps and looking at some of those individual reports. Russia will shut off gas deliveries to Bulgaria starting Wednesday. Bulgarian energy minister, the ministry said earlier in a press release, Russia's Gazprom has told Bulgaria's state-owned gas company, Bulgargaz, that it will shut off gas supplies starting Wednesday. Bulgarian energy minister said in a statement again on Tuesday, Bulgaria is now the second country after Poland to face Russia's gas embargo starting Wednesday after they refused to pay in rubles. The Energy Ministry said that the new payment procedure proposed by Russia was not compatible with the existing contract until the end of this year and posed, quote, significant risks to Bulgaria. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in this evening. Just making sure that you guys can hear me loud and clear. A little audio test here. Just want to make sure I'm coming in clear to everybody this evening. Emperor Kamada says paying in rubles is like paying in dirt. I mean, I believe it's not just the principal idea of of it, but yeah, also it's the financial, it's the economic side of things. The ruble is just not worth anything at this moment, and that is unfortunately true for the Russians, and so they are going to have a hard time doing business with a lot of these other countries. Okay. Alrighty. Again, moving on here from those reports from Bulgaria. UK Prime Minister says he doesn't expect Putin to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine. Again, this came directly from Boris Johnson himself. He said on Tuesday that he does not expect Russian President Vladimir Putin to use, quote, tactical nuclear weapons in Ukraine. When asked during a sit-down interview with Britain's, quote, Talk TV, I believe it's a show over there, he said if he fears that Putin may use tactical nuclear weapons in Ukraine, if Moscow faced defeat in its ongoing invasion, Johnson said that he does not share the same worry. Russia Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said Monday that nuclear deterrence is Russia's principled position, but he added that the danger is serious. Quote, "It is real. It cannot be underestimated." Johnson said Putin had the political space to be able to back down and withdraw from Ukraine. Quote, "From that report, Putin could not come to a point when you look and say to the Russian people, the military technical operation that we launched in Ukraine has been accomplished. We had to go in to accomplish certain protectors to protect the rights of certain people. That's been done." Again, that statement from Boris Johnson there. The Ukrainian president says Russia has no right to blackmail the world, again, with the threat of nuclear weapons. In a address from Zelensky, again, speaking about Russia and nuclear weapons while criticizing recent Russian troop operations at the Chernobyl nuclear plant on Tuesday, again, during that joint news conference in Kiev with the International Atomic Energy Association that I mentioned earlier. Again, he's from a quote from that report. He said, "Today, on the 36th anniversary of the disaster at Chernobyl nuclear power plant, again, the world was just a step from disaster because for the Russian troops, the plant and the entire area was just another combat action zone where they didn't care for nuclear safety." Again, referring to the breaches of that nuclear waste containment. The lack of safety that was portrayed by the Russians there as they exchanged fire and shelled the area. Again, very risky to do anywhere near any type of nuclear fuel or nuclear power plant. Again, the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in northern Ukraine was occupied by those Russian forces just a few weeks ago for about 2 to 3 weeks and is now back under Ukrainian control. Another quote from that report: "Given the level of threat, we believe Russia has no right to turn nuclear energy into weapons and blackmail the world with the use of nuclear weapons." Again, Zelensky said at that news conference. The U.S. Department of Defense has established a control center for Ukraine military aid in Germany. The Department of Defense, again, in a statement earlier, saying that they had established a control center to coordinate shipments and streamline the delivery of military assistance to Ukraine with both U.S. and allied forces in Stuttgart, Germany. Within the U.S. European Command Area of Responsibility. Again, a U.S. senior defense official told reporters on Tuesday. The European Command Control Center of Ukraine, also known as ECCU, is based at the U.S. European Command headquarters in Stuttgart and is run by a U.S. two-star military general. The center works closely with what the U.S. calls the International Donor Coordination Center, or IDCC, which is run by a one-star general from the United Kingdom. Again, a quote from that: "This was set up to support this security system's efforts," again, from that official at that press briefing. The control center, along with U.S. personnel, includes staff from 15 other supporting nations in Stuttgart. The official reported the control center will also manage the network of more than 40 partner and allied nations that met in Germany earlier Tuesday and are providing assistance to Ukraine. This new group of allies will meet once a month. The U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin announced earlier Tuesday, again, meeting in Kiev. The first meeting was hosted by Austin at the Ramstein Air Base in Germany on Tuesday. So they are looking to send not only monthly delegations to Ukraine and Kiev, but also they're looking to have monthly meetings there at the air bases there in Germany at Ramstein, and again they are establishing that command and control center in that area. In a statement from Ford, they say they will take a long view on Russia and is in no rush to reopen business once the Ukraine conflict ends. Again, the American Motor Company, in a statement earlier Tuesday, said, again, it's in no rush to reopen its Russian businesses, whatever happens with the conflict in Ukraine, according to Bill Ford, the company's executive chair. A quote from that: "There will be a new Russia one day, but it will take a little time to sort out what that means, and we'll take our time with that. It's important that we do get the human rights equation correct, and that we feel that the country is headed in the right path. Again, that statement from that executive from the Ford Motor Company. U.S. forces have had close encounters with drones on the Belarusian border. Again, from a report from a U.S. defense official, there have been close encounters between U.S. forces and, quote, Russian armaments, specifically unmanned aerial vehicles or drones during the ongoing war in Ukraine. A U.S. defense official had said during a background briefing with reporters Tuesday. Again, this comes as we've been tracking these Forte 10 drones, these reconnaissance aircraft, those RC-135s, those are the manned reconnaissance aircraft. We've tracked a large variety of unmanned aerial vehicles over Polish territory, over Romanian territory, over German territory over the past few months, as they have been strafing those Belarusian borders there and keeping an eye on what the Russian elements are doing in those areas. Again, a quote from this report here. There's been a couple of occurrences of UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, that have really been near the border of Belarus, that are near some of our forces, again, the official said. And so not only has there been a presence of U.S. and NATO drones in that airspace, okay, but you're also now seeing Russian drones, some armed, in that airspace as well, okay, and so it's a very dangerous situation there when you have both sides using these unmanned aerial vehicles, not only to do reconnaissance, but also some are armed, doing armed patrol flights in some of these areas. The official added that these instances of the drones getting close to U.S. forces did not cause the U.S. quote alarm, but yes, that has occurred, and that it is concerning. Nothing that has caused us alarm, or nothing that we wouldn't be ready for. But yes, that has occurred again, and that is the report directly from the official there. The official could not say if the drones were Belarusian or if they were Russian, but either way, we consider them a threat. Again, not only will Russia be suspending gas supplies from to Bulgaria, but also they will suspend gas supplies to Poland starting Wednesday. Again, a Polish state-run gas firm has made that press statement earlier, in a dramatic escalations. Again, a dramatic escalation of tensions with not only Poland specifically, but with the West as a whole. Russian energy giant Gazprom has informed not only Poland's state-run gas firm, but also Bulgaria's, as we reported on a short while ago, that it will entirely suspend gas supplies along the Yamal pipeline starting Wednesday morning. A quote from that report: on April 26th, Gazprom informed PGNiG of its intention to entirely suspend deliveries under the Yamal contract at the beginning of the contract day on April 27th. So that is tomorrow. They will be suspending the fuel there to Poland. A very dramatic increase um, uh, in the tension there in the region. A very dramatic uptick in the sanctioning here, the embargoing here, coming from Russia and both sides, arguably. In a report from earlier today, the UN Secretary General's meeting with Putin lasted about 1 hour, said that spokesperson. The meeting between the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres and Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow on Tuesday, again, lasted about an hour. While part of the meeting includes aides, part of the meeting was also one-on-one between Gutierrez and Putin. Quote from that report: it is important to get this moving as quickly as we can, so that is what we will proceed to do. Again, they're looking to establish a humanitarian contact group and specific effort with the Red Cross to assist people in Mariupol. Ukraine will start on the ground, quote, on the ground as soon as we can. Again, moving on to Mariupol, speaking of which, Mariupol is still technically under conflict at this time. The Avastal steel plant is still being contested over, with pockets of Ukrainian resistance that is still there holding out, and arguably there are still civilians in that area as well, as both sides look to get some evacuations going to get people out of those areas. Again, earlier today, in this continuation of reports from yesterday, the U.S. State Department confirms temporary return of some diplomats to Lviv Tuesday. Again, that came from the deputy chief of the mission for the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine, and members of the embassy team, again, traveled to Lviv Tuesday. Again, the U.S. State Department spokesperson Ned Price had said Tuesday. Speaking at a State Department briefing, Price said the embassy team met with interlocutors from the Ukrainian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The quote from that: today's travel was a first step ahead of more regular travel in the immediate future. He said, noting it was temporary for now. Again, we are accelerating the preparations to resume embassy in Kiev. Again, their operations there in the capital city just as soon as possible. Again, the U.S. is looking officially now to reopen their embassy in Kiev, and what has been deemed by the public as a risky move. Some would argue. The U.S. is not the only country, though, looking to reopen their embassies in the country. So again, we have to wait and see how that pans out, and how that kind of affects the dynamic there on the ground. Again, Russia, just to kind of reiterate on Mariupol and the Donbass, the continuing battle of Donbass there, Russia. Sorry about that. Excuse me, guys. Russia remains focused on attempts to encircle Ukrainian forces in the east. This came from an advisor to Zelensky earlier today. Russia remains focused on attempts to surround Ukrainian forces in the east of the country. Again, Oliskisi. Again, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Estoryovich, an advisor to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, again said Russia's main efforts in the east were around the towns of Popsana, Severodonetsk, and Rubizin, with further fighting around Sloviansk and Kramatorsk. Again, we have our Kramatorsk cam as one of our main cams on our 24/7 cam stream, and that's why we've been watching that area very closely, as well as Kharkiv. Again, he said in that report, although the enemy resorted to powerful artillery and airstrikes, our troops successfully maneuver and repel attacks. So they are holding out in that area. Again, I'll kind of touch a little bit more on this later on the live UA map there. But they are, continuing to perform this pincer movement to encircle those Ukrainian forces in the east. Meanwhile, in nearby Kremenina, which was captured by Russian forces last week, Luhansk regional governor Serhiy Haidai hinted at significant Russian casualties when two buildings in the city exploded on Monday. The blasts at the city council buildings and another building used by Russian forces were both caused by gas explosions, Haidai said. There are huge losses. The so-called People's Mayor died in the City Hall building. We are still finding out what happened. There were a lot of people inside the buildings, he said. Returning here to that breakaway region in Moldova, the U.S. State Department is aware of explosions that occurred Monday in Transnistria, the Russian-backed breakaway region inside Moldova. Again, we reported on that last night, as it is pronounced. And, quote, they are closely monitoring this situation. Again, that spokesperson Ned Price said Tuesday in that press release. Quote from that report: We reiterate that Moldovan government's call for calm in response to these incidents, and we fully support, as you have heard us say before, Moldova's territorial integrity and sovereignty. We respect its constitutionally guaranteed neutrality, Price said at a State Department briefing. Quote, we don't know all of the details beyond regarding what transpired yesterday, but we do remain concerned about any potential attempts to escalate tensions. Moldova is a strong partner, and we are working to make sure that they have what they need to respond to the regional consequences of Russia's aggression against Ukraine. Again, continuing on that report, Ukrainian officials claim attacks in and around Moldova suggest Russia is planning a new front in the war. Ukrainian officials are claiming that a spat of unexplained attacks in and around neighboring Moldova suggests Russia may be trying to open a new front in the 2-month war. On Monday, a rocket attack damaged a government security building in the Russian-backed breakaway region of Transnistria. Inside Moldova. Around 1,500 Russian troops are deployed in Transnistria, ostensibly as a peacekeeping force. On Tuesday, a communications tower in Transnistria was damaged by an unexplained explosion, leading the Moldovan president to call an emergency meeting of the country's Security Council. Those two incidents led Ukraine to accuse Russia of planned provocations in Transnistria. Again, guys, so I've been calling this now again for a few months. I've been saying that if they're gonna capture the southern coast. So if we go over here on our map here and we look at Ukraine, just so we can kind of get a visual representation here of what we're talking about. Okay, so the Donbass is here. So where the war has been since 2014 has been primarily the Luhansk People's Republics and the Donetsk People's Republics, okay, in the Donbass here. All right, in this redded area here on my screen. In fact, let me just pop down to our pointer screen. Okay, so if you look on our screen here, so this is the Donbass here. Okay, well, really, this whole area here geographically is the Donbass, but Donetsk and Luhansk are these two little areas kind of right in here, all right? I shouldn't say little because it's hundreds of it's probably 100 square kilometers, a few hundred square kilometers this area here, so it's quite large, and you have Mariupol down here, all right, which again is still being contested at this time. And then you have Crimea, okay? So the conflict really has been going, since 2014 in the Donbass, and then of course you have Crimea that was annexed, all right? And so you had tensions along this border here with Crimea and these oblasts in the Kherson region, the Zaporizhia region here. There's been tensions there along that front, and then tensions here along the fronts here in the east, okay? And so again, our view a few weeks ago. A few weeks ago, uh, I would say our view was that Russia was basically going to just kind of focus on the Donbass here and possibly Mariupol, and if they could cap Mariupol, they could get that land bridge over to Crimea. Okay, for a while though, I've been saying that they most likely want to take the entirety of the southern coast. Right? It now looks more likely that they are going to do that, especially since they're trying to get involved here in Transnistria, in that Moldovan breakaway region. Reason being is because if they're going to cap Odessa here, if they're going to capture the southern coast, specifically Odessa, they're going to need to move from both sides. Okay, to cut off those Ukrainian forces that are going to be moving down to Odessa here to help join the fight. They're going to need to cut off those forces in order to basically do what they're doing in Odessa now. They're basically, sorry, what they're doing in Mariupol. They're going to try to do the same thing in Odessa here. Okay, it's the same thing that's going on in Mariupol. Okay, slowly the entirety of the city, uh, you know, was invaded by the Russian occupying forces. All right, and those Ukrainian defenders were slowly pushed back to the Avastal steel works there in the city. The same thing is most likely going to happen here in Odessa if Russia tries to act uh, in Odessa. They will move most likely from Transnistria here. If they can, they might try to get forces into that region there. Maybe move some more forces in there if they can to launch an offensive from again the west here, and then moving from Kherson out of the east here. They will try to again conduct a pincer movement to block any supplies, to block any of those Ukrainian troops trying to move to Odessa. However, before they attempt any move like that, they need to finish their operations in Mariupol, because once they got Mariupol locked down, they can then reshuffle those troops that are all surrounding Mariupol. They can shuffle those troops westbound to cap the southern coast, and not just Odessa, but there's a multitude of towns and small cities along this southern coast that they're going to have to capture. Michael Lave, is one that's notable there. All of these smaller towns and smaller cities here, all the way over to Odessa. Again, so kind of moving on with that report there. Uh, on Monday, a rocket attack damaged a government security building in the Russian-backed breakaway region, that Transnistria, that breakaway region there, which I was just showing you guys. Okay. In fact, I believe this is that report here. Okay, so no, these are the radio transmitters that were destroyed as a result of those explosions near Mayak village in Transnistria. So that's what occurred there. But on Monday, so this was yesterday, a rocket attack damaged a government security building in the Russian-backed breakaway region of Transnistria in Moldova. Again, around 1,500 Russian troops are deployed in that region. Again, a quote from that report, by his actions, the enemy is trying to cut off part of the Odessa region and create tension amid the events in Transnistria. That statement came from Marchenko. Maxim Marchenko, again, that's the head of the Odessa Region Military Administration. So that comes directly from a head of the Ukrainian military there saying, again, Russia had used 3 missiles, one of which had struck the bridge in that region. Again, today's cruise missile strikes on our southern region may indicate Russia's intentions to add the region of the Ukrainian uh, uh, Bessarabia. Again, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Basically, that's just a word that they use for the far southwest. Uh, uh, again, to all areas of its offensive. Again, in that quote from Oliski Astryovich, again, an advisor to the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. Again, continuing on from that, he said the Russian authorities at the level of the highest representatives of the state are declaring that it is necessary to occupy Moldova. And if you guys remember, okay, just to add to this, all right, if you remember earlier in the war, the Lukashenko incident, all right, the Lukashenko maps that were shown, all right, clearly showed them possibly moving into Moldova. Okay, and now what do we see all these weeks later? We see it finally starting to unfold, or at least the narrative being put into place. All right, guys, so with that, that concludes tonight's primary headlines. What we're going to do now is we're going to switch over into our situation room and take a look at the community aggregated reports over on our community Discord server. If you're interested in joining our community Discord server, you can find a link to that in the description below this live stream or below the video, depending on how you are viewing this. Again, if you missed this report live, we do upload these reports to the YouTube channel over at youtube.com/Nemico Network. Again, to anybody that has PM'd me over content, I will try to get to it. I have a lot of PMs actually today, so I'm going to try to get to as many of you guys as I can. So again, guys, if I can't get to all of you, I'll try to get to some of you tomorrow night, but I'll try to at least give a shout out to everybody that's sent PMs over here of information. Again, we're going to hop over into our situation room here and take a look at some of those community aggregated reporting. Again, I want to give a shout out to all of our dedicated intel analysts, radar analysts, radio analysts, geolocators, cyber analysts, everybody that we have over on our Discord server that has been putting in the hours over there. You guys all deserve a round of applause. Thank you guys so much. It's because of you that these reports I'm about to bring to you guys are possible. Starting off our community aggregated reports this evening comes a report from Phoenix over on the Situation Room. Thank you so much, Phoenix, for this report. Comes from I believe, a Russian or Ukrainian source on Telegram. I'm going to take a translation of this here, guys. I actually had I had an automatic translate feature set up here, but it doesn't seem to be working this evening. But I'll get that fixed here as soon as I can. Stand by here while I get this translated. again, thank you to Phoenix for sending over this post here. So this has been detected as Russian language. And so this is a report. Again, this was posted on Telegram by a verified Telegram source. I believe this is a Russian news source. Again, this is a statement from Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister, the Russian foreign minister, saying there is a real danger of the start of a third world war. At the same time, he stressed that Russia fundamentally considers nuclear war unacceptable. Quote, "This is our principled position. We proceed from it. And of course, I would very much not like that now when the risks are very, very significant. I would very much not like these risks to be artificially inflated, and there are many who want them. The danger is serious, it is real, it cannot be underestimated." Again, that was a statement there from Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister. Thank you so much, Phoenix, for sending over that report there from Telegram. In a report here from Kayuka, again, Kayuka has been a good contributor over on the Discord server in the Situation Room here. Again, thank you, Kayuka, for sending this report over. This comes from a Twitter source here, L-Team on Twitter, L-Team10. Again, this shows a tank hunter engaging a Russian vehicle across the Dnipro River using a Milan ATGM. I believe that is similar to the Stugna, except instead of it being remotely controlled, I believe you fire it from... In fact, let me rewind that video there. Okay, sorry about to my headphone users there. Okay, so actually it's a little bit different than the Stugna. So the Stugna is on a tripod, and it's remotely controlled. This is it looks in place. It's not it's not as portable as, say, your Javelin system, but it looks in place here. You can see the operator getting ready to fire the missile there. Oh, and you can actually see, so the missile fires there, and so he's firing across the Dnipro River here. And you can see I believe you can see the explosion there, actually. Again, that's from a Milan anti-tank guided munition there. Very cool system. I believe it's very useful to those Ukrainian forces there. The Stugna has also been a pretty useful weapon over there, as well as the Javelins. I've talked to some people on the ground in Ukraine, and a lot of them seem to think that the Ukrainian Stugna should be the new Saint Javelin, because a lot of them think that, over there at least, that the Stugna is really what has been winning the war. I'm not sure if that is just, morale, maybe propaganda on behalf of the Ukrainians, but the Stugna definitely has been impacting the Russians pretty hard. In fact, I saw a video earlier today that I posted. In fact, I will show you guys it now. I'll bring that up now. There was a video I found earlier today. I believe it was posted by The Sun. It showed a Stugna operator taking out 4 Russian tanks in under 4 minutes. Was definitely a pretty impressive feat. Go ahead and we'll bring that up for you guys right now, actually. So here is that video from earlier. 4 Russian tanks destroyed by a single Ukrainian missile operator. Again, another thing I noticed that was interesting, they've placed the Stugna behind a shallow, kind of a shallow hill, and you can notice he aims up when he fires, and then immediately tracks back down. And it's speculated that's because he's behind a shallow enough hill for where the weapon sights can still see over the hill, but he needs to kind of aim up a little bit just to be careful not to prematurely have the missile hit the ground or something like that. But it does help reduce the signature, the launch signature from the missiles there. But we'll go ahead and watch this here. You can notice he's raising the weapon sight up a little bit. You can hear him there calling to fire here. So with this Stugna system, again, he's kind of a little ways away from the missile being operated, from the launcher unit. But you can see when he launches it there, that some dust and debris did get kicked up. And you can see the first impact there on that Russian tank. And then he quickly is tracking over, and you'll notice, so you can see the camera is shaking there. That's the missile operating team reloading. So they're manually reloading the launcher tube, and so that's why the camera is shaking there a little bit. As Unstinkable says, he says that's one solid hit. Yeah, he got 4. I saw another video earlier this week from another student Ukrainian operator, and they had gotten 1 hit, and they were really pumped. It took about 10 minutes to line that hit up. This guy got 4 hits in under 4 minutes, and definitely pretty impressive feat. Military prowess here by this missile operator here. So you can see him quickly tracking over to his other target, and he's giving out the orders, to clear the launch area. He finds his other target here. You can see he tracks up with that launch tube again to clear that shallow hill that they're behind. Very smart tactic here. You can see he launches. Okay, you can see the debris falling in front of the camera there, and then you can see he tracks the cursor down to the Russian tank, to guide the missile in. You can see it detonate there on impact, taking out that Russian tank. And again, this continues on. Again, he hits another 2 tanks. This video is 3 minutes and 43 seconds. So in under 3 minutes and 43 seconds, this one missile operator was able to take out 4 of those Russian tanks. Definitely pretty impressive there. Pretty impressive feat, again, by that Ukrainian missile operator. All right. So moving on here. Going back, I'm trying to get back over to our situation room here, guys. So bear with me so I can get us another post. Actually, Kayuka with a breaking post just now at 9:43 p.m. my time. So that's exactly 5 minutes ago. From Kayuka here, Russian air defense activity seen over Belgrade, that is in Russia. Again, I will be bringing that up here on YouTube here. Again, that was posted just a short while ago. This is breaking. It was from 3:34 a.m. Ukraine time. Current time right now is 4:48 a.m. So just a short while ago, this footage was captured in Belgrade, Russia. Belgorod, Russia. You can see Russian air defense activity, again, seen intercepting some missiles there over Belgorod. Very interesting activity. Again, that is breaking news from Kayuka in our situation room. Thank you so much, Kayuka, for posting that post, for posting that report for us. All right. So getting caught back up where we were before. Okay, this is another post from Kayuka from earlier today. And apparently this is in the quote here directly from Kayuka, he says, seems this is the reason we see so many downed Orlan 10 drones lately. This is a Twitter post here from Blue Sauron over on Twitter. It shows what is reportedly a personnel of the Ukrainian 24th Mechanized Brigade with, quote, a anti-drone KV-SG-3 drone jammer. I believe that's actually a drone jamming gun, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, this is actually a drone jamming gun. Basically, it just it pumps out a very I believe how this works. I'm not an expert, guys, so again, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure how this works is it just pumps out like a very overpowered signal that's able, it's able to basically jam the drone's radio signal, basically downing the drone. That could be, again, the reason we have seen so many of those downed Orlan 10 drones is these drone jamming systems that they are using over there. I'll show you guys the picture here of those two Ukrainian personnel. I very much like the picture they used to cover their faces. It's very interesting. Again, that was a post on our Situation Room from Kayuka. Thank you so much for that post, Kayuka. Post here from Sionan. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Thank you so much for this, Sionan. This came at around 6:30 p.m. my time, so a few hours ago here. This is a report from Ukrainian TV English on YouTube. Go ahead and show you this. 16,000 Ukrainians are missing since the start of the Ukrainian invasion.
Dear friends, it is the 62nd day of the active phase of Russian-Ukrainian war. The military and political situation around Ukraine has changed slightly during the day, and the main directions of its changes are the Russian terrorist activity in the so-called Transnistrian Moldovan Republic, on the territory of our good neighbor Moldova. The Russian authorities, at the level of their highest state representatives, declare that it is necessary to occupy Moldova, and today's cruise missile airstrikes on our southern region may indicate the intentions of the Russian Federation to add to all directions of the invasion also the region of Ukrainian Bessarabia. The state military and political leadership is quite aware of this threat and is in constant communication with our neighbors, and we know what to do about it. And I can tell the Russians, the Russian leadership, that adding another direction will simply accelerate your military defeat here and your political defeat in the world. On top of that, there was a meeting today at Ramstein Air Base of defense ministers from 40 countries, that is 13 NATO countries plus 10 more, where the Minister of Defense of Ukraine, Alexei Reznikov, is also present, and where the United States Secretary of Defense, Austin, who chairs that meeting, said that he would turn heaven and earth, but provide weapons to Ukraine, and weapons to Ukraine means liberating Ukraine from Russian invaders by military force. As for the current operative situation, the main effort of the Russian forces, as before, is concentrated in the direction of Popasna, Severodonetsk and Rubizhne, trying to surround our troops. It doesn't work. And in the direction of Izum to Slovyansk and Kramatorsk. It doesn't work either, although the enemy uses powerful artillery and airstrikes. Our troops are successfully maneuvering and repelling the attacks. The enemy tries to move in the direction of Avdiivka. It doesn't work. In the direction of Marinka, it doesn't work. In the direction of Gulaipole, Zaporizhia, there are heavy battles. Our troops strike at concentrations of Russian equipment and control points and field depots. And the enemy is putting extraordinary efforts in the direction of Kryvyi Rih, concentrating its forces in the north of the Kherson region, trying to advance towards Kryvyi Rih. But today they suffered losses that during the 24 hours, no less than 70 military personnel were destroyed, as well as ammunition stocks. That is, the armed forces of Ukraine conduct a strategic defense operation, and it is successful. A very difficult situation, as usual, in Mariupol. Around the district defense of our force Azovstal, the enemy continues to shell the territory of Azovstal. Our forces have been holding on, going out in retaliatory sorties. Ukraine has taken great diplomatic efforts. This topic of Mariupol was discussed today by Turkish President Erdogan with President Putin. Putin has always resorted to cynicism, saying that there is no resistance there. We have already liberated Mariupol, as he said, ceased translating into our language. And that the best way out for the Ukrainian defenders is for Kiev to give them a command to surrender. But our military, of course, will not go for such an embarrassment. In addition, there is no faith in Russians' ability to treat our military in the rear. We remember Ilovaisk and remember that according to Mariupol local officials yesterday, when the Russians declared a humanitarian corridor to exit Azovstal, a few minutes later they shelled the exit point. That is the value of the Russian agreements. Let's see what the UN Secretary General can achieve by raising the Mariupol issues. in talks with the Turkish side, Ukrainian and Russian ones. He is on a state visit right now. During the day, a group of armed forces of Ukraine hit 11 air targets, 3 aircraft, 1 helicopter, 4 operational, tactical and manned aerial vehicles and 3 cruise missiles.
So there's that, again, that statement from those Ukrainian officials. Thank you to Sionan for posting that in the Situation Room over on our Discord server. Much appreciated. In a post earlier from CD Media, one of our mods over on the Discord server, thank you for this. Send this over. This is a Yahoo News article here. It says Russia is preparing a missile strike on Transnistria to cause civilian casualties. This comes from Ukrainian intelligence. I'll read a little bit of the article here. This came Tuesday, the 26th of April. Ukrainian intelligence is warning of another provocation by Russian special services in unrecognized Transnistria. Local residents are receiving text messages from people claiming to be the Ukrainian armed forces, which contain a warning about a missile strike. The source, the press center of the Ukrainian Chief Intelligence Directorate details. It is reported that residents of the unrecognized Transnistria are receiving text messages from a source claiming to be the Ukrainian Armed Forces and the Special Services of Ukraine. Again, these messages contain a warning about missile and artillery strike on the territory of the Transnistrian region. Again, a quote from the fake messages saying... the Security Service of Ukraine strongly recommends the evacuation of civilians to safer regions. Again, thank you so much for that post, CD Media, over on the Situation Room there. A post here from Max, Max3ST here. This comes from a Twitter source here. Again, U.S. allies promise more arms for Ukraine as Russia continues its strikes. The United States and European allies pledged new packages of heavy weapons for Ukraine during a meeting on Tuesday at the German airbase in Ramstein there. According to Reuters, Ukrainian officials said heavy fighting continued on Tuesday in the eastern regions of Donetsk and Luhansk. Thank you so much for posting that in the Situation Room. Max West, I believe is how he pronounced that actually. A post here from Pyrotech, a Telegram post here. I believe this is that statue in Ukraine there. It's the Russian-Ukrainian unification statue, if I'm not mistaken. They're taking it down there. Let's see if they took the head off there. In fact, I'll get you guys just a really quick direct translation. Get you guys a direct translation of that. Dismantling of the monument under the Arch of Friendship of the Peoples has started in Kiev. Again, this was established in 1982 to mark the reunification of Ukraine with Russia. And now, again, they are tearing down that statue. In that video, again, I'll show up one more time of them taking the head off. I believe that's the Russian side of the statue. Pretty dramatic video there. From Kiev. Thank you for posting that, Pyrotech. You've been a long-time contributor and viewer. Thank you so much, and fellow Pyro. Thank you so much for tuning in to the stream, man, and for providing that video for us over on the Situation Room. In a post from earlier today, Yoroko Izo posted this on the Situation Room over on the Discord. This comes from Reuters. Again, it's a report on Russia warning Poland, Bulgaria of gas supply cuts on Wednesday. Again, this has been confirmed. They are officially cutting the gas to Bulgaria and Poland. Again, thank you so much, Yoroko Izo, for sending that over. Again, that wraps up all the posts that I'm bringing to you guys from the Situation Room tonight. Again, we're not able to go through all of them. It would take us hours. If you guys want the best news source possible, if you guys want to get the information on what's going on in Ukraine, and not just in Ukraine, but going on in this whole entire war across Russia, across the Baltic states, across Europe, across Ukraine, the best place to get that information, guys, two places: the Situation Room in our Discord server, and the voice chat over on our Discord server. If you guys want to keep up to date on everything that's going on with this crisis, that is by far the best place to get up to date information. We get information there posted faster than any mainstream media source, guaranteed. Again, you can find that over on our Discord server at discord.gg/Nemico. You can find a link to that in the stream description. I thank everybody that sent over content tonight and reports. Really quickly, I'll just check my PMs to make sure I haven't missed anything. In fact, okay, so Kayuka actually sent over some messages regarding the Belgorod anti-aircraft video that that they posted earlier in the Situation Room. That was, again, a few moments ago. We showed you that video that was breaking of that anti-aircraft battery engaging some missiles there in the air over Belgorod. This is reportedly footage and imagery coming from explosions after a missile, possibly another sabotage attack, maybe by Ukrainian forces. Again, this comes probably from a pro-Russian source here, again, out of Belgorod, Russia. Here's another image here of that fire burning in Belgorod. Explosions reported near this town here, Oktaya Pratskoy. Again, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Yeah, Unstinkable sent a post here. Send that to me on Discord, Unstinkable, if you can, real quick. So that'll be easier for me to bring up than from the live chat here. Russian air defense active over Russian territory. I'm not sure if that is Unstinkable. Is that from Belgorod as well? If so, send that over to me real quick on Discord so I can get that up on screen here. It's much easier for me to open that stuff up from Discord here. Again, Kayuka, thank you so much for sending this over. Again, that's not a sunset you guys are seeing there. That is, in fact, the fire from the flash, the either flash or fire from that explosion in Belgorod. This is breaking news coming to you guys this morning. Again, I'm going to show you that other picture here of that fire. Allegedly, this fire here in Belgorod. Again, guys, unconfirmed at this time. This is breaking news that's coming out to you, so I don't want to, again, jump to any conclusions, but we're going to try to get some confirmation on this. Unstinkable, send me over that link, and I'll take a look at it here. Maybe we can get that up on screen for everybody. Oh, wait, here it is here. Okay. Might be the same video. Yeah, so, okay. Yeah, all right, so this is Russian air defense activity seen over Belgorod. Yeah, so I believe this is the same footage we saw earlier. So this is the footage we saw earlier, guys, and the pictures I just showed you just now are apparently from those strikes, possibly. LD429 suggests possibly
As the conflict
an ammo
in
dump.
Ukraine enters its third month, the United Nations Secretary General.
Okay, yeah, how about not? All right. Again, so LD429 says he thinks it's an ammo dump. Again, this is breaking news. This is out of Russian territory, guys, not Ukrainian territory. This is on Russian territory that these strikes took place. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on it. Rat Lady actually sent over some information. I'll read off what she PM'd over to me. She said CNN is reporting that Kherson was taken today, but that they can't get enough people to vote for their sham referendum. Again, Kherson has, I would say, been under Russian control for a little while now. However, the Ukrainian forces have been contesting on the outskirts there. Again, they had replaced, I reported yesterday, they replaced the city council. The Kherson city council has been replaced with a Russian council. Again, they were, again, planning to have that referendum. Apparently, they couldn't get enough people to vote for that referendum. Again, we're going to give you guys more information, probably with tomorrow's report on that situation there in Kherson. Again, thank you to everybody that sent over posts and reports tonight. Again, we couldn't go through all of them, guys, but if you would like to look at every single detail and every single report that is happening from this war right now, again, best place to do that is over on our Discord server, discord.gg/Nemico, in the Situation Room, and the many other Ukraine-related reporting channels that we have set up over there for everything from flight radar, what's going on in the air, to the naval situation, to what's going on in the markets, to what's going on over radio communications, to what's going on in the cyber spectrum, in the cyber realm of this war here. Again, we have multiple different channels set up over on the Discord server. Best place to get up-to-date information on what is going on. Very soon, we will be launching. We have a web platform, a website that we will be launching soon to everybody. We've been working on that for a little while. Basically, it's going to be an open and free platform. Anybody can join it, and it will be a place, kind of a one-stop shop for all of our archiving and cataloging of all the data that we've been able to archive over the past, aggregate all of the data that we've been able to aggregate as a community over the past 2 months. We're going to now have an official place where everybody can very easily access all of that data, and also be able to join in communication and discussions, and have threads and stuff over there. And because there's a lot of people that don't necessarily want to use Discord, and so we want to have one unified place for everybody, again, to partake in that exchange of information, in that analyzing of these reports, in the aggregation of this reporting, etc. And so that will work in tandem with the Discord going forward. Again, so now we're going to switch over here. We're going to go through about the past 12 hours of reporting on our live UA map. So we're going to really quickly just blast off all of the individual reports that have been reported in Ukraine and surrounding Ukraine. So not just are we getting reports now, guys, from Ukraine, but we're also getting reports from Russia. So places like Belgrade. And we're also getting reports from places like Moldova, that breakaway region, Transnistria, and so there's other regions getting involved here, guys. And so these open intelligence sources that we've been using are now, not just giving us information from Ukraine, but other countries as well, as this starts to, unfortunately, spread to different countries here. All right, guys. So, starting here at the 12-hour mark, President of Moldova, Maya Sandu, convenes meeting of National Security Council to discuss the events that are currently taking place in Transnistria. Again, we reported on that earlier. 11 hours ago, 3 killed, 7 wounded as a result of Russian army shelling in Kharkiv. I can show you guys here on the map. Surprisingly, over the past 24 hours or so, the strikes in Kharkiv have been localized to this district here, and overall, the region has been a little bit quieter, surprisingly, just over the past about 12 to 24 hours here. Don't let that fool you, though, because there's a lot going on that we do not see on these maps, and these strikes are still very significant. Again, 3 were killed in those strikes. 7 were unfortunately wounded, again, as a result of that Russian army shelling in Kharkiv. 11 hours ago, Turkish President Erdogan expressed to Putin that Turkey will continue to do its best to establish a lasting peace between Russia and Ukraine, again, in a phone call that happened earlier today. 11 hours ago, a bridge from Zatoka to Belgorod, Dnistrovsky, was closed after missile strikes in that area. Again, you can see that is south of Odessa, again, bordering Moldova and that breakaway region. 11 hours ago, 3 were killed as a result of Russian army shelling in Papsana. Street clashes ongoing in the city at this time in the east of the country of Ukraine. You can see here on the map where those strikes are located. 11 hours ago, defense ministers meeting in Ramstein today. Again, we reported on this earlier. 11 hours ago, shelling targeting the outskirts of Sloviansk. Again, that is in the more central eastern portion of the country here, south of Izium. You can see a lot of activity has been happening in this region over the past 12 hours. 11 hours ago, damage in Huliapol as a result of Russian army shelling. You can see not only on the map here, again, that's kind of in the south here, a lot of strikes have been occurring along that contact line in the past about 48 hours. We've seen an uptick in the amount of activity happening along this conflict line here from Zaporizhia over to Mariupol. You can see a picture here on screen of the destruction of that building there. 10 hours ago, Russian missile strike hit a bridge over Dniester Liman in the Odessa region. Traffic was closed in that area again. You can see that strike there on the map. 10 hours ago, missile launches visible from Makivka. Again, you can see the picture there of those contrails in the sky. If you look closely there, you can see the missile contrails there in the sky. And you can see where those missiles, where these pictures were reported from, geolocated on the map there in the east of the country near Donetsk. 9 hours ago, parts of Russian missiles in the Maryansk village of the Dnipropetrovsk region. Again, you can see where those were located here. Again, I believe that is, yep, that's on the west side of the river there, west bank. 9 hours ago, the UN General Secretary met with Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov. 9 hours ago, the International Atomic Energy Association director says the radiation level at Chernobyl reactor is abnormal at this time. So that's actually a very interesting report. I hadn't heard of that in my briefing earlier. In fact, this is the first time I'm actually reading that report. I didn't have that briefing earlier. In tomorrow's report, we'll take a look at this. We'll take a look at Chernobyl and the situation that's going on up there. Again, the IAEA director says radiation level at the Chernobyl reactor is currently abnormal. So that's an interesting report there, and we'll have to take a further in-depth look at that. 9 hours ago, European Union, in a statement, says the military operation in Ukraine puts nuclear safety in Europe at risk. And no doubt that statement is true, not just nuclear safety, but I would say the broader security for Europe, food security also as well. 9 hours ago, Moldova president in a statement says we will take measures to avoid escalations in Transnistria. Again, that breakaway region there. Continuing on from that post, the National Security Council, summoned by the presidential office, has announced some measures. One, the police will start checking the traffic in parts adjacent to the security zone. 2, law enforcement will increase patrolling within the country and borders, excluding those in the Transnistria segment of the Ukrainian border. And 3, increase critical infrastructure protection alerts. 7 hours ago, Raytheon Technologies says it cannot quickly make new Stinger missiles, which the U.S. has been sending to Ukraine. CEO Greg Hayes says the company must redesign electronics in the missile and seeker. That's going to take us a little bit of time, and a quote from that report. 7 hours ago, Secretary of Defense from the United States says we just kicked off a historic meeting. More than 40 countries gathered together to help Ukraine win the fight against Russia's unjust invasion. Our goal is to leave here with a common, transparent understanding of Ukraine's short-term and long-term security requirements. 7 hours ago, in a post from the Russian Ministry of Defense, they say it is ready to strike, quote, decision-making centers in Kiev with high-precision weapons. Again, this is a parroting post. They've made the same statement. I believe this is the third or fourth time over the past month or so that they've made this statement here, where again the Russian Ministry of Defense says it's going to strike command and control targets in the capital city there in Kiev. And usually they do follow through. There are strikes that do take place. There was a strike last time they made these statements that did successfully hit a target. So again, we're going to have to wait and see what comes of that. Usually we see the strikes occur about a day later. So possibly by tomorrow, we might see those strikes occur in the capital city there of Ukraine, in Kiev. 7 hours ago, a missile hit reported at the Spasivka village in the Zaporizhia region. You can see the impact crater in this photo here. Again, 7 hours ago here, a Russian Orlan 10 reconnaissance drone, which was recently shot down by the 60th Separate Infantry Brigade of Ukraine in Kherson Oblast. Again, you can see a picture of that fuselage there of the of the aircraft body there. 6 hours ago, Anthony Blinken tells Senate that sending requested military equipment to Ukrainians is now happening within the next 72 hours. So again, guys, we should keep a close eye on what's happening in and around the borders of Ukraine, specifically on the western end, because it's possible that the Russians might look to strike some of that military hardware coming into the country in the next 72 hours. So let's keep a very close eye on what is going on in that region. 6 hours ago, Blinken again tells senators that the U.S. is sending diplomats back to Ukraine this week to Lviv, who will evaluate how safe it is to reopen the embassies in Kiev. Again, we reported on that multiple times now this week, that the U.S. is in fact officially looking to reopen the Kiev embassies. Not just U.S., but multiple countries are looking to reopen their embassies there in the country. 6 hours ago, General Miley tells Jim Ciuto, I can believe that's a reporter there, that at, quote, the end of the day, ending the war in Ukraine will involve a weakened Russia and a strengthened NATO. 6 hours ago, U.S. allies meeting in Germany, again at that Ramstein Air Base, also spoke about stress on the defense industrial base due to the need to provide Ukraine with military aid, again, per the Secretary of Defense. 6 hours ago, quote, saying, we leave tonight strengthened, so does Ukraine, again, per that Secretary of Defense, referring to those meetings that had taken place. 6 hours ago, that same Secretary of Defense from the U.S. praises Germany and Britain for decisions to send Ukraine anti-aircraft systems and help from Canada. Quote, we are seeing more and more every day, he says, but we don't have any time to waste. We've got to move at the speed of war. 6 hours ago, again, the Secretary of Defense announces a formation of contact group to meet monthly to ensure allied help for Ukraine and Russia. Again, they're looking to have monthly meetings, not just in Ukraine, in the capital of Kiev, but also possibly at those air bases, in not only Germany, but Poland as well, at these command and control centers that they have set up in the region. 6 hours ago, you can see here on screen, a missile launch from the Karitsk region, again here in the east of Ukraine. 6 hours ago, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said Russia's talk of use of nuclear weapons in Ukraine is, quote, dangerous and unhelpful. This again comes as we've seen a lot of this uptick in rhetoric occur over the past 72 hours or so, about the past 3 to 4 days. We've seen this uptick in the nuclear rhetoric talk, I guess trailing right back into last week when we saw the CIA director saying, that there is a real possibility that Russia could use a low-yield tactical nuclear weapon. We also saw Zelensky come out in an address and parrot those remarks, saying that it is possible for Russia to use those weapons if backed into a corner. Again, I just want to thank everybody that's tuning in tonight. Thank you guys so much for following along on the stream for these reports this evening. If you haven't already, hit that like button. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Best way to get notified when new streams go live. Really quickly, I have a user that actually just sent me over a post here. Michelle Patrick actually sent over a video, what's reported to be from when they bombed that theater in Mariupol. I'll take a look at that video later, Michelle. Maybe I'll show it on stream tomorrow. Thank you so much for sending that over for me. I don't think I've seen that video either, so I'll have to take a look at that footage. 6 hours ago, the U.S. Defense Secretary states we are continuing our strong support for Ukraine. Again, that comes as they had multiple meetings over the course of the past 2 days here. 6 hours ago, Zelensky in a statement says Russia's actions at the Ukrainian nuclear plants threatens a new catastrophe. Again, very possible here for a mistake to be made when the conflict is occurring in and around these nuclear plants. Again, it's a very dicey situation. It's not just the risk of a possible meltdown, which is unlikely in most cases, okay, luckily. But then from there, you have the risk of nuclear fuel storage being possibly hit, okay, expended fuel storage, which is still very radioactive, being hit and dispersed into the area by a munition, a bomb, or a shell of some sort. But then you also have the danger to the plant operators at these nuclear facilities. Okay, as these plants are contested between the Russians and the Ukrainians. again, those plant operators are caught in the crossfire. Again, was the case at Chernobyl, as well as Zaporizhia, unfortunately. 5 hours ago, 3 civilians killed, 4 wounded as a result of Russian army shelling in Kharkiv. You can see the location on the map there of those reports geolocated, as well as what seems to be here a picture of some of the damage to the buildings there. What looks to be possibly some windows blown out from that shelling occurring in Kharkiv. 4 hours ago, violent battles are occurring near Huliapol. Again, that is in the south of the country, not too far from Mariupol. 4 hours ago, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres met with Putin in Moscow. As we reported earlier, you can see them sitting at a very long table there, which is the Russian tradition, which is Putin's tradition there as of late. He very much likes his long extravagant tables. 4 hours ago, Khamenei, in a statement, says the Ukraine war should be considered more deeply. This war isn't simply about a military invasion of a country. The roots of this invasion are deep, and a complex, difficult future can be predicted. 4 hours ago, Putin said to the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres that Ukraine wants to discuss Crimea and Donbass at the summit between the leaders. Again, Gutierrez said, we are concerned about what is happening and believe that it is an attack on the sovereignty of Ukraine. 4 hours ago here, Putin to the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says the UN tribunal has recognized Kosovo's right to self-determination, so Donetsk and Luhansk have that right to self-determination too. And Russia has recognized it. Again, Gutierrez said, but the UN did not recognize Kosovo. Putin said, but the tribunal did. In an interesting exchange there of remarks at that meeting. 4 hours ago here, after a meeting with the German Chancellor, Polish Prime Minister, we talked about how Poland and Germany could help Ukraine. We need tanks for our army to replace the tanks that we handed over to Ukraine. Again, that has been kind of a repeating pattern here as countries look to shuffle. They look to shuffle military hardware into Ukraine, but then certain countries look to, again, kind of resupply some of those countries that are shuffling the hardware into Ukraine, because again, they make these deals where, say, hey, we provide our old tanks to Ukraine, you guys send us some new stuff. It's basically been the dynamic here we've been seeing multiple instances here. 4 hours ago here, explosions in Ermino. You can see that here, located in the east of the country in the Luhansk region. You can see a picture here of that blast, and also I believe there is a video here posted from Twitter. You can see of those blasts. Sorry for my headphone users there, but you can hear those blasts that are coming through, and you can also see the explosion, the dust, and the blaze there burning in the background. You can even see, the explosions there going off in that location. Again, that's in Ermino. Most likely an ammo depot or military target that was struck there. Again, we're still waiting to get some more information on that strike at this time. 3 hours ago, President Zelensky met with Prime Minister of Romania, Nicolae Sicua, in Kiev. Again, that happened today. 2 hours ago, Russian troops shelled the Esmon community in the Sumy region today. You can see that location here on the map, directly on the border with Russia. Smack dab right on the border there. 2 hours ago, the U.S. says it's, quote, closely monitoring the situation in Transnistria and warns against efforts to, quote, escalate tensions. Again, continuing from the reporting that I gave you guys earlier this evening. 2 hours ago, explosions audible in several districts of Kharkiv. So just in the past few hours here, there has been an uptick in the violence in Kharkiv. Again, we'll have to be bringing you guys more information with tomorrow's report on some of these more recent strikes that have occurred over the past about hour or two here since we started giving you guys this report. 2 hours ago, explosions reported near Poltava as well. You can see that again, kind of in the center of the country there, not too far from Dnipro. About an hour ago, the U.S. is offering a $10 million reward for information leading to the capture of 6 Russian hackers responsible for the 2017 NotPetya malware that took Chernobyl's radiation monitoring system offline. All 6 are members of a top GRU hacking unit. Again, I think the concern there is that some of these Russian cyber assets might be used in the future by the Russian military, and I think again that's why they're looking to prosecute some of these individuals now. Again, especially during the war. An hour ago, today shelling in the Nova Dmitrievka, Bieloknistria, Mykolivkia, and a few other regions there with MLRS and other weapons. A civilian was unfortunately injured in those strikes. You can see those strikes located on the map here in the south of the country. Very unfortunate that a civilian was injured in those strikes. 44 minutes ago, President Zelensky met with the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Association, Rafael Mariano Grossi, in Kiev. Again, there's a video that came along with that post here. Let me see if I can get that up for you guys. I believe that's on Telegram here. Shows that.
Very good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Very good, very good. Let me introduce
Yeah, bless.
my team. Madame Evra, she's the head of the
Hello.
safety and security
Nice
part.
to meet you.
And Mr. Aparo is the safeguards guy.
Hello, nice to
He's
meet
the
you.
head of the inspectors.
Nice.
And Mr. Belitsa is the chief
to
of
meet you.
cabinet. A few days ago,
So you can see that video there of the Ukrainian president and those International Atomic Energy Association officials exchanging introductions and pleasantries there in English, I might add. That was very interesting. It's very nice seeing Zelensky use more English in a lot of these addresses and stuff. It helps convey his messages, I believe, to a Western audience much more effectively. In a very recent post here from 14 minutes ago, another vice president of the Gazprom Bank, Igor Volobiev, escaped to Ukraine, joined territorial defense forces there, and gave this interview to the Insider, claiming there that recent family murder and then suicide of Gazprom Bank top manager Aveyev was staged, and it was, quote, a murder. Very interesting report there coming out just 14 minutes ago. If there's more information to have on this tomorrow, guys, I will be bringing it to you with tomorrow's report. Our last 2 live UA map updates here for this evening are air raid alerts that have occurred here in Poltavska Oblast 5 minutes ago, Kryvyi Rih, Dnipro, again, the whole Dnipro Oblast, as well as the Zaporizhia Oblast as well. We just got those air raid sirens in a few moments ago. Again, no reports again of strikes in those areas yet that have come in, but more information most likely will come in here shortly. Poltavska Oblast, Poltava Oblast as well just came in there as well. So again, you can see those reports on the map. Again, guys, just really quickly, I would just like to thank everybody that's tuning in this evening. I'm going to switch over now to a little bit of a Q&A session with everybody in our live chats. Again, thank you so much for everybody that's tuning in this evening for tonight's report. Dutch 904 Life says, Nemico Network, do you know why YouTube and Twitch isn't sending notifications for when you go live? Well, they should be. If you're on YouTube, make sure to hit the notification bell and make sure to select all for those notifications. If you're on Twitch, make sure to hit the follow button. There might be actually maybe a setting that you have to maybe use over there. If not, it could be possibly there's maybe a light shadow ban in effect. Again, I'll message Twitch and YouTube, and maybe we'll get to the bottom of that if I find that other people are having that same issue. Tiger Eye says, interesting about the Gazprom Bank. Yes, very interesting, especially with kind of the moves that are occurring here with the Russian gas flow being cut off to Poland and Bulgaria. Again, very interesting developments there. We're going to have to wait and see where that goes. Tango Down, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I just want to say thank you to all my mods that are tuning in this evening and helping out not only the live chats, but over on the Discord server. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Dutch 904 Life says, I have all that, and it's only been going on for the last 2 days. Interesting. Again, I'll have to take a look into that. Maybe I'll put a poll out. Maybe I'll put a community poll out, and I'll ask people if they're getting notifications. I'll run that poll maybe sometime tomorrow on the community. On the community page on the YouTube channel there. Lori says, Nemico Network, check out my last post. Where was that post? Was that Lori Maslin, by the way, because we got two Loris right next to each other. I see we have Lori H and Lori Maslin. Lori Maslin, where was that post at? Let me know, and I'll see if I can take a look at that. Lori H says, Nemico, as always, thank you for the report, and thanks to the mods for weeding out the BS in the chats. Thank you so much, Lori H, for tuning in. Glad to have you back on the stream this evening. Surrounded by Keith says, great reporting, Nemico. Well, thank you very much for that. Surrounded by Keith, it means a lot. Again, I'm not an expert at reporting, guys. This is the first time I've done a lot of commentary in the past, and I guess some people say I got the voice for it. But again, this is the first time I've done war reporting in this format here. I wouldn't mind doing some on-the-ground coverage at some point, maybe in the future. I think I would be pretty good at doing that as well. However, again, I have a lot of areas where I need to improve, so I'm always trying to make improvements in that regard, guys. But again, thank you so much for those words there. It means a lot. Tiger Eye 912 asks, Nemico Network, do you think Russia is heading to Odessa? Also, your opinion on Russia's strength this far in the war. Okay, so for the first part of that question, yes, I've talked about that since before they invaded. That again, if they're going to capture the entire southern coast, they're going to need to take Odessa, right? If they're going to capture the southern coast, they're going to take everything right over to Transnistria, right over to Moldova. They might not take Moldova itself, but they most likely will take, again, that very kind of far southwestern pocket of Ukraine, as well as Transnistria. Matt, thank you so much for tuning in. Says, thanks for the updates. Was nice to be able to fold laundry while listening. Well, thank you so much, Matt, for taking your time to tune in tonight. Lost B83 says, Nemico, G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. Thank you so much, Lost B. That joke actually that cheered me up. Some might not know the reference there, but I very much I appreciate that. That's a good one. Wayne Irwin says, no update from Lancaster in 2 days. I think they got him. I actually have not tuned into Mr. Lancaster in a few days. Sometimes he takes kind of a break for a couple days, but I mean, even though he is, coming from a pro-Russian viewpoint, I hope he's okay. Lancaster has become a staple on our channel time after time. We've referred to his videos, and believe it or not, I mean, he's come out with some good reporting, even though it's from a pro-Russian standpoint, and some of it, is propaganda and BS at times. Seeing that footage on the ground in Mariupol still is very interesting to watch those reports. So, again, he is in an active war zone when he brings us those reports. Nevertheless, he's definitely a very interesting source for when you're trying to look at what the Russian narrative is, what the Russian side of things is. Definitely from an independent perspective, he's been a pretty interesting source, to say the least. James, thank you so much for tuning in. Says, getting YouTube notifications just fine. Well, thank you so much, James, for clarifying that. I think what I'm going to do is put out a poll. As I said, I'll put out a poll in the next few days here and see if people are getting those those notifications. Mother Saki says, I get my Twitch notifications daily. Well, that's good. That's really good. Smuggy says, yeah, I don't think I received a notification on YouTube either. I even clicked to make sure I was alerted. Yeah, you got to make sure to choose all and not personalized on that notification bell. But if you're not, again, keep an eye on the community page on our YouTube channel. I'll be posting that poll in a few days, and I'm going to get like the numbers. I'll get the raw numbers there of how many of you guys are actually getting notified, because I've had reports a few times, and I feel like this is a recurring theme. Over the years, as I've been watching YouTube videos and stuff, I feel like I've always heard people, different YouTubers, they all have that point in their career where they come out and they say, with a video saying, apparently some of you guys aren't getting notifications, So, again, we'll have to take a look at that. And again, I'll run a poll. Lori H says I get my YouTube notifications. Dent Chaos says, wouldn't many not get notifications to know to submit that they aren't getting notifications? Again, if you hit the notification bell and you hit all, I think that's really the key thing there. Maybe really quickly changing it to personalized and changing it back to all maybe might force the system there to give you those notifications. Lori, thank you so much. We have 3 Loris in the chat tonight. Again, Lori number 3, thank you so much. Says, thanks for all your hard work. Well, thank you so much, Lori, for tuning back in. Suze for Keep says notifications dropped out for me on Monday the 25th. They are back now. Interesting. Dirk says, please tell Jerd we said hello and thanks. I'm pretty sure Jerd is probably watching if he's not sleeping. Actually, he might be sleeping right around this time, but I'll make sure if any of the mods are there, again, they'll probably make sure as well to pass on those kind words to one of our favorite moderators over on the Discord, Jerd McBird. LD429 says, combat is an eye-opener on the ground. That is definitely true, LD. 100% true on that. Harlan Martin says, Nemico, you rock, dude. Well, you rock, Harlan. Thank you so much for those kind words. Glad to have you on the stream this evening. Keenan says, Nemico, you have a nice flow. Well, I think flow is nice to have, Keenan. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. Glad to have you back on. Again, it's really awesome to see so many people tuning back in, as well as so many new faces every time we do these reports. Astroman says, is Sweden and Finland or Norway now wanting to join NATO? Yes, we've heard of Sweden and Finland looking to join NATO. Norway, not officially yet, but Sweden and Finland are officially on the track to join NATO. We're going to have to wait and see how that pans out. Bruno Orante, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Says, thank you, Nemico. I'm working and watching from Adelaide, Australia. Well, I hope the weather is nice there in Adelaide, Australia today, Bruno. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. Keenan says, I am the Patrick Lancaster watcher these days. Yeah, I feel like a few of us, even though we are conscious of, the angle of his content, we do still watch and even sometimes appreciate some of his videos that he puts out. Papu says there is also a China Lancaster version, I think. Interesting. I'll have to take a look at that. Stephen Gregory, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for those kind words there. Much appreciated. Glad to have you tuning in to the reports this evening. Unstickable says, Nemico Network for sure, providing a visual where most people wouldn't go. The only good thing about Patrick is that he shows what the devastation looks like. Exactly, and I think that's why it's a valuable asset. And again, it's also kind of valuable to see what their narrative is that they're trying to build there. Bobby asks, Nemico Network, what happened to Patrick Lancaster? I was listening in the background. We don't know yet. Apparently, he hasn't made a video in a few days, but that's kind of normal with him sometimes. So, again, we'll have to wait and see if he comes out with a new video. Patrick Eagle, thank you so much for subscribing over on the YouTube channel. Much appreciated. Tiger Eye 912 says, worried about an Odessa invasion that will push through Romania. Nemico Network, but I love your reports as always. Sorry I have been absent for a few days. Tiger Eye 912, it is no problem. Thank you so much for tuning back in. Again, guys, personal life and whatever you guys got going on at home, it takes the cake, man. It takes the priority. So get done what you guys got to get done. And especially for those of you that like to tune into the 24/7 cam stream, sometimes it's important for you guys to step away for a while, take a break, go relax, get some rest and relaxation, recuperate, because watching this stuff 24/7 and watching these reports coming out of Ukraine and the devastation and seeing the loss of life and stuff every day can take a toll on people. So again, guys, make sure to take care of yourselves. As a lot of our mods in the Discord like to say, stay hydrated, stay fed, stay rested. Michelle says, hi, Nemico. Got my Dasha shirt today. I just love it. I will be sporting it tomorrow. That means a lot to me, Michelle. I'm glad you like it and that you like the design. Thank you so much for that. Lost B83 says, Nemico, do you think this will stay as a proxy war? We hope. We hope it'll stay as a proxy war and not grow into a more broader conflict. We also hope that it can get resolved sooner rather than later as to avoid further loss of life. Dutch 904 says, Nemico Network have been subscribed for 2 months plus and have never had the sub issue until the last few days. One thing you could try, Dutch, again, once I get that poll up, please provide your answer to the poll once I get that up and posted. But that'll be over on our YouTube community page. But Dutch, it could be an issue. Again, try changing the notification setting to none, and then change it back to all, and maybe that'll fix it. That you could try that. If not, again, answering that poll, and if a lot of people are having that issue, I'm going to take a look into maybe messaging YouTube and getting an answer to that. Fear None says, not gonna lie, the fake avatar makes this weird. Better with just your voice. See, the whole reporting, this whole format we're doing here is a ever-evolving experiment, okay? And I do plan to run some polls here in the future. I think we've had about 50% division here. 50% are pro-avatar and 50% are anti-avatar. Again, when we reach 100,000 subs, I'm planning to do a face reveal. And at that point, I'm planning to maybe do some more in-person, up close and personal reporting for you guys. And again, maybe in the future, the whole VTuber thing is kind of a exploding frontier here. It's kind of a new frontier here, and we might look at maybe doing some further content in that regard in the future. We might look at removing it from the reports. We might look at doing things a little differently. Again, it's an ever-evolving experiment. Tango Down says, I have to go to the store. Anyone need anything? I could use a drink there. Tango Down, thank you so much for that. Annette, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Says, Nemico Network, when will you be starting to do updates at 8 p.m.? Well, Annette, I am planning to update the schedule. I'll probably announce that either tomorrow or the next day. Again, we are looking to shift the reporting up an hour. So instead of starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, aka 4 a.m. Ukraine time, we'll now be starting it at 3 a.m. Ukraine time, aka 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for everybody that's here in the United States. That's on the East Coast. 9 p.m. is what we usually do now. We're going to be shifting that up to 8 p.m. Again, I've been trying to condense the reports down to an hour, you guys, and I've just been totally unable to do that. Tonight I told myself, okay, let's get it under an hour. Let's just do it under an hour. We're now at an hour and 46 minutes here. By the end of this, I'm probably going to be at the 2 hour mark entirely. And so that's just kind of been like the natural flow of things. It's been kind of settling into that 2 hour, kind of that 2 hour report. I'm trying to get it condensed down as much as I can. We're kind of changing the reporting structure a little bit. Doing some of things a little bit less and doing some things a little bit more in order to maybe look at getting that shrunk down to about an hour, hour and a half. And then also I'm looking, I'm trying to pursue hopping on during the daytime for kind of all day reporting chunks, so to speak, more often. I've done a few of those over the past few weeks. I want to do more of those to kind of hang out with you guys more during the day, during that 24/7 cam stream and do some stuff for you. But I'm also spending this time to kind of shift the focus onto some of the video content going forward on the channel. That's also been a big priority for me. Again, got a big backlog of content as well as some of the new stuff I've been pumping out. I want to get that up and available for you guys to watch. James C. asks, what happened to Mehmet? Mehmet is in Kiev. He's in Ukraine. He's doing good. Again, I'm looking to have him on the show soon for a interview. I just haven't had the time to get that set up yet. We'll probably have him on maybe sometime this week if I can get it set up. And we'll get him back on the stream. Dutch 904 Life says Mehmet just made a bunch of new shirts and hats. Also, that's awesome. I encourage you guys to go not only check out that stuff, but check out his YouTube channel and his Twitch live streams as well. For when he goes live, he does like to play some game. He plays quite a bit of Valorant and some other video games over there. I definitely encourage you guys to go show him some love as usual. Again, I'll be hoping to have him on the show soon. Again, as Matt says here, he runs a cat rescue in Kiev named Dash's Dozen. Yeah, he's been doing that for a little while now, and he's been looking at getting that kind of put together. And I'm hoping again to have him. That's what we're having him on the show for the interview for. Is not just a kind of overall update on what he's been doing, but also to specifically give the details to you guys on that cat rescue operation he's been running there in Ukraine, in Kiev. All right, guys. Again, thank you to everybody. Actually, one more question here. Harlan asks Nemico, quick question on Kiev: has Russia completely left the area? Yes, with the exception of, aerial bombardment and again, possibly, saboteur groups, marauders, possibly, conducting operations in and around the Kiev region. But for the most part, the actual uh, majority of Russian forces have left the region. Yes, they have retreated. Again, guys, thank you so much for everybody that tuned in this evening. For everybody that sent PMs over, for everybody that has left questions in the live chat here. Again, I'm not able to get to everybody here due to time constraints, but I do appreciate everybody's comments, everybody's questions. Again, we give these reports every night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's 3 a.m. Ukraine time. Every weekday. We don't do weekends. Again, I'll be shifting that schedule up soon. I haven't got around to actually getting that implemented yet, but we're going to be shifting it up an hour. Again, really quickly, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor for tonight's stream. That's Peace and Memes. They are a merch company that has been designing pro-Ukrainian merch designs. In fact, let me go over to our pointer screen here. I can actually show off a few of their designs real quick, give them a little shout out, show them some love. They've been making a few of these pro-Ukrainian designs. They got a Ghost of Kiev patch here. These are all original designs. In fact, this is one. Slick Ross is his name over on the Discord. He's been working on these for a while. This is actually, so I don't know if a lot of you are familiar with the Putin riding the bear meme, but this is Zelensky riding the bear, riding the Russian bear. I love that design. Hats off to Slick Ross over there at Peace and Memes. For not only supporting tonight's stream, but also for designing these wonderful merch designs. They're actually looking to start a fundraising operation here to raise some money for Ukraine. If you guys would like to ask some questions to Ross, you can message him on the Discord server. His name is Slick Ross over there. Again, big shout out to Peace and Memes for bringing you guys tonight's stream. Again, just another shout out to everybody that tuned in this evening. Again, glad to have you guys all tuning in for the reports tonight. Another shout out to my mods. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for helping not only moderate the live chats here on YouTube, but the live chats on Twitch and over on the Discord server as well. You guys are awesome. To all of you guys that are on the mod list that I haven't got around to setting up yet for moderator duty, don't worry. I've just been swamped. I haven't got around to it yet, but we will get you guys on board. To everybody that's possibly waiting on something, don't worry. We're going to be getting it going. We've been doing a whole lot in the background to improve the channel here, to improve the operation, to improve the reports we're bringing to you guys. So just a heads up there. Thank you so much for bearing with us here, guys. Again, thank you so much for tuning in this evening. If you haven't already, hit the like button. It's the best way to get the algorithm's attention. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. It's the best way to get notifications when new streams or new videos go live. If you haven't, if you're on Twitch, hit the follow button. It's the best way, again, to get notified when our new Twitch streams go live. Share this stream if you like this content. If you like our reporting, share our channel, share one of the videos with your friends. It helps us out a ton. If you're looking for any of the sources that we brought to you guys tonight, or looking to any of the sources for our cameras or anything like that, you can find all of that stuff in the description below the stream. If it's not there, however, you can find anything more over on our Discord server. Again, that's discord.gg/Nemico. Also, you can access that invite at discord.com/invite/Nemico. There's a link to that in the description below where you guys can join our Discord server. We'd love to have you over there. You can join not only in the discussion, but if you want to get the latest updates on Ukraine, not just Ukraine, but the war in general, you can get those updates faster than any other place on the internet. I stand by that statement, guys. You can get it faster than any other place on the internet over there on our Discord server. Again, if you would like to contribute reports or any news or sources that you may have, you can post those in our Situation Room on the Discord server, and you might be selected to have your reports shown here on the live stream when we do our nightly reports. Again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Also, down there in the description are links to where you can not only support Ukraine. There's a QR code on our 24/7 cam stream. You can scan that and support Ukraine. Next to all of our videos that are about Ukraine on the YouTube channel, if you go to any of the videos or past live streams, they're all set up for a fundraiser through UNICEF. Directly through UNICEF, you can donate to them to help out the people in Ukraine. They need your help. They need your assistance, guys. Also in the description there, if you want to support the stream here, guys, if you want to support the channel, best way to do that is to donate or hit that subscribe button if you can't donate. And also, again, you can find links to that stuff in the description below. For now, guys, again, this has been your report for April 26th of 2022 on the ongoing war in Ukraine. Again, I just want to give a big shout out to everybody that tuned in this evening. You guys are awesome. Right now, we're going to be transitioning back to our 24/7 cam stream. For those of you that missed it, this report will be uploaded right after I'm done here. It'll be uploaded to the YouTube channel. It takes a few hours to process, though, so it'll be up later for you guys, for anybody that missed it. Again, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in this night. This has been your Ukraine war report here, your nightly report from Nemico Network. Again, guys, until next time, thank you for tuning in and stand by.
Something that will change our daily lives, that will change history, 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 that will change history. That will be the most beautiful day.
All right, guys. Also, really quickly, just as a small note to add to that, I forgot here. If you guys use code Nemico over there on peaceandmemes.com, you can actually get a 10% off discount by using the code Nemico, Nemico. Again, big shout out to Slick Ross and the guys over there at Peace and Memes. Thank you so much for tuning in to the stream and supporting us this evening. Again, guys, this report will be uploaded to YouTube as soon as it is done being live.